What would you, is it your turn? Are we ready?
We're ready.
Commissioner Ross, would you lead us in the pledge and a moment of silence, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kramer. Present. Commissioner O'Rourke.
Here.
Commissioner Rexroth.
Present.
Chairman Wessel.
Here.
Commissioner Ross. Here. Commissioner Alguier. Here. Commissioner Lautner. Present.
Thank you. We now have a proposed agenda before you, and we have two suggested late additions. One would be the agreement with RCI Richter Construction, and the other would be the approval for the contract of our finance officer. And so I would entertain a suggestion, and we'll replace those.
Hard copy? Two, I think.
I need one too, please.
So just a minute, Ty, we've only got them virtual right now, so.
Anyone else?
Yeah,
I need to go right up.
Thank you. Where do you want to add those?
Could we put the first late edition, the Richter contract at number 9C? And then the contract for the chief finance officer at 9D. Everybody okay with that?
Do we need a motion?
Any other additions?
Motion to approve as modified. Support.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. Thank you. We now are down to communications, proclamations, and presentations, and we'll start with our administrator update.
Good morning, everyone. I usually start out with kudos, and I want to take a moment this morning to offer a special thank you to Rob Herman, our GIS analyst in equalization. Rob was voted in by his peers here at the county to be our representative for the MERS conference, and Rob attended that conference last week and provided a great summary to everyone. So just want to thank Rob for attending. I'm not sure if the board received his report, so I will forward that to the board later this week in my report so that you have that information. In terms of project updates, two updates to give you this morning. One is in regards to the lower level health department. So there was a meeting yesterday with the contractor, with the architect, with the engineer, with the health department representative, Eric Johnston, myself, our maintenance director, Jerry Coleman, and Ty was there as well, just to talk about timeline and to again look at the space. So you have before you a late edition contract to finalize that with RCI. That's the last piece of this, and then they are ready to move forward. And with everything signed and things move forward today, they anticipate they should be able to be done with the project by the end of March 2024.
Was it reviewed by our?
It has been reviewed. So that project's moving forward. And then the HVAC project, as you know, we put out bids, RFPs for that project, anticipating that we would get bids back by the end of last month. We received no bids. So when the Building and Grounds Committee meets next Monday, they'll have to have a conversation in terms of recommendations or next steps for that. But obviously, we will have more of these heat pumps that will need to be addressed during this transition time. One of the key things I think was stated was the lack of ability for subcontractors. So it is the nature, I think, of the beast right now in terms of construction. So again, more things for the board to consider moving forward. A few other things, in terms of upcoming events, the budget work sessions, we canceled the budget work session for Wednesday. So our next budget work session will be Friday, October 6th from 12:30 to 3 p.m. And the one following that is Monday, October 9th from 1 to 3. So those two should be on your schedules. And then also for Friday, we have the official Indigenous Peoples' Day plaque dedication that will take place at 11 o'clock outside the front entrance here in the Government Center. So we're looking forward to having a good crowd. I think there were over 70 invitations were sent out to all the local townships, all the tribal members, as well as the commissioners and our staff here. So we're looking forward to being able to celebrate that as well. I believe that's everything that I have for now. Well, sure. Another late addition that you have before you today for approval, we'll be discussing under item 9, administration, is the late addition of Sean Cohen draft contract. So I'm very pleased to see Sean with us here today. And I appreciate the board taking the time to review this whole process. I think I commend you all. No one anticipates these kinds of things as we move forward, but I think there was a lot of good discussion. So again, I look forward to it, and I welcome Sean back in the new capacity the board will approve today.
And I wonder if we could have Sean come up here and maybe continue on with administrator comments and give us a message.
It's a little embarrassing. I sometimes struggle with the focus there. I appreciate it, Ty. At least like to say a few thank yous. I think taking on the role earlier in the summer, late spring, I think that we knew there were challenges, uncertainties. I really do appreciate the board's commitment to this role and what I think this role can be. And by that role, I talking about the broader finance responsibilities, your willingness to give me the opportunity to take that on. So thank you. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't also say that the folks in this building, I really love to say thank you to. The support, friendship, openness, willingness to accept me, from the start has been, it's made all the difference in my success, or hopefully our success as we go forward. So I thank them. I do think that we have a great opportunity in front of us. I think that the development of this role and placing it at the right level to support what you need as commissioners is the most important mission that I've seen since the start. And I think that this is a great step towards that. It will not be easy. I don't expect it to be easy. I think that with every opportunity, there's challenges in front of us. There are a number of difficult decisions, I believe, that come with this. I think that there will be commitments necessary to resources and priorities that will require discussion. And I'd love to try to support those. I think the most pressing thing in my mind is the timeline that we're looking at. I think there are some things relatively quickly that we'd like to address. And so I know the discussion around establishment of a finance committee, I'd like to take you up on kind of getting that going as quickly as possible. And so I've made that commitment to Commissioner Wessel, and I'll take that on immediately. But other than that, I think the biggest thing is to get to work. And so I look forward to that.
Questions or comments for Sean? Yes.
Well, I think you have 7 people here that really care about your work, and I love your presentation, and especially our little cheat sheets and stuff, and we're just glad to have you. And my phone's open 24 hours a day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, good.
Thank you for your willingness to teach us how to have a finance department. I'm grateful that you will bear with us in this process. And I thank you for that service.
I also just like to echo some of Ruby's sentiments. Open door policy. If you need anything, I think I'm gonna speak for myself, but I think I'm speaking for all the commissioners when we say, feel free, pick up the phone or email, whatever.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have you back when we talk about the contract, because I know there's one change in it that I neglected to take out, that you wanted out of there, which was,
We were able to put that in.
okay. Gotcha. So the contract that you have that we're approving today has reference to banked vacation time.
Did you want me to address that, Todd?
Yeah.
I mean, so philosophically, what I wanted most was to reflect in contract terms simply what I think I was brought here to do initially, and I looking for nothing additional compensation or first of all, and then second, I think that philosophically I've had some challenges with things around vacation flexibility. So I specifically asked that I will take on the role model, I guess, of I don't want to bank any vacation. I've asked that be removed, and so I appreciate your consideration with that.
I think a round of applause. I would just add that Deb has been incredibly helpful during this 2-week process, however year long. It's taken forever since we met a week ago. Thank you, Deb. We now have, and I've had the opportunity to work with Brian Martinez, the CEO of Northern Lakes Community Mental Health, and he came into the authority as an interim, and it's got a lot of work to be done. You've heard consistently about some challenges for Northern Lakes, and Brian's been giving us the leadership. And Brian, come on up and give your report. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. Brian Martinez, interim CEO of Northern Lakes Community Mental Health Authority. I would just like to thank you guys right off the bat for your support of the enabling agreement this past year. Northern Lakes went through a process of redoing the enabling agreement, and your county stepped up and supported that process and voted unanimously to continue to keep Northern Lakes as a community mental health authority within Northern Michigan and the 6 counties. And with that, we celebrated our 20-year anniversary yesterday as a community mental health authority in Northern Michigan, providing services to 5,733 clients across 6 counties. So thank you for your unanimous support of that. I would also like to thank you for your $139,700 in county funding that you give to Northern Lakes to help us provide services to your community. It is my 1-year anniversary as the interim CEO of Northern Lakes Community Mental Health. A year ago, I was put in place by the Northern Michigan Regional Entity and a Northern Lakes Board to oversee Northern Lakes through the process of the enabling agreement and some financial audits and some other stuff, human resource audit that's coming up, and being able to start a CEO search for the agency. So thank you for your continued support. Today, I'd like to talk about the services that we provided to Leelanau County within the year 2022. We do it year to year. Last year, I presented on day 5 to you guys on year 2021. And this past year, we increased services to the county by 23 people that were able to provide more community mental health services to 23 people in the county. We increased from 196 to 219 residents receiving mental health services. And we also had a total of $2,757,609.53 worth of services to Leelanau County residents. Those 219 that made up those services. So with that right there, we had 44 IDD adults that we serviced, 8 IDD children that we serviced, 129 adults with severe mental illness that we serviced, and 38 children with severe emotional disservices that we serviced within your county. The cost per consumer for those services, like I said, total of $2,757,609.53. The highest population served would be adults with IDD, with the average consumer averaging $40,308.07. IDD children cost $6,781.05, and severe mental illness for adults, $5,298.98, and severe emotional disturbance for children, $6,479.29 per month on average that we give services to Leelanau County residents. The highest cost of services that we provide within the county is community living supports for IDD. That totals $1,623,133.07. That's residential living, community living supports that allow your residents to live independently within the county with assisted help. You guys have any questions on any of the services that we have been providing for the past year?
Before we go to the questions, there was a news item on the radio this morning, so maybe you could address that. It was the check that was sent to the firm providing services, and there was a scam.
So-
Could you address that?
Yeah. So we had a phishing scam that happened within the agency. There was 283,000, roughly $700, some cents that was transferred to a nefarious actor posing as a community partner in the community. We found out about it through some checks and balance in our system. We stopped the payments to the account that the money was being transferred to, and we're in the process of working with our community partner GTI to reimburse those funds through different insurance payments, stuff like that. Right now, it was reported to MIRMA. We had a policy for fraud, and that's being executed right now. Once payments are received, we're gonna make that right with our community partner GTI.
Can I ask you a question about how the program works where you're having the ITT, I think it's which
IDD.
IDD? How does that program work? Because you said you were allowing them to be at home. So I'm just wondering how that functions.
So community living supports, we have several different means that we deliver those. It depends on their IPOS or individual plan of service, how those are delivered. Some people that receive those services live in group homes where they receive services within the home, and we help with transportation, different stuff like that, meals, different things we can provide. Some of them, some clients, they get individual plans of service, and they might get opt for self-determination, and their family might opt to have like CLS workers come into the home and help give them support so they can live independently. So it just depends on,
Like a respite here?
yeah, like a kind of like a respite care for family members. That's how we do community living support, yes. So and it varies per IPOS because each client has an individual plan of service, and it specifies what they get in that plan of service for services that we can provide.
Good.
So your integrated health clinic, did you start that last year or has that been ongoing?
That has been ongoing. The IHC has been ongoing for over 5 years, I believe.
Okay, so anyone, is that a drop-in or if someone has an appointment
It's we have,
with a counselor, for instance, they can stop
they
by?
can enroll in IHC, yes.
Okay,
So,
so you enroll in it and then they monitor your health issues?
yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
Anything else? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for the service you provide.
Next on our agenda, we have Kevin Klein here, and we have our own Steve Clemondon here, who serves as the chair of the Cherry Capital Northwest Airport Authority.
We'll have Steve fly left.
And just as a side note, Steve's term expires this year, and when I went down to the airport for a celebration not too long ago, I was lobbying strongly to let you know that everybody wants him back.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for having me, Chair Wessel and Administrator Allen. Thank you. It's been great. Certainly, Steve Clemondon, Chair of the Northwest Regional Airport Authority. He has been a true mentor. He has been a great leader for our airport board, and all the information you like to hear as board members on those that you appoint. Well attended. He's there at every meeting. He leads us through lots of great issues. One of them that we'll talk about this morning is a new instrument landing system. So Steve is the complete package of representing Leelanau County. So we appreciate you appointing him as our chair. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
And of course, Commissioner O'Rourke. He has been a new member that has joined us this year and has brought a lot of input. His background with TSA has really been a great service to us in guiding us through a lot of information and projects on board. So we thank him for his service and joining us. Hopefully we haven't drowned him with all the information coming in, but he's been a great help. And then Will Bunnick also has been a member that has been very strong. He leads our finance committee and really is holding us on task to our budget. And so we greatly appreciate all your service for the Airport Authority Board. Well, I'd like to talk about, the state of the airport and what's going on here at Cherry Capital Airport and some of the great things that are happening. When we look from our last report, we talked a lot about 2021. I'd like to talk about 2022 and coming into 2023. One of the first things we talk about is passenger traffic. In 2022, there was a lot of challenges with crews, mechanics, also aircraft coming online and being delivered. So we had 582,908 travelers, which is still our second best year ever. 2021 was our best year ever at 602,626. But when we look at the 582, that is still greater than 2019 levels pre-pandemic. So we are very happy with that result, considering the challenges that were going on within the industry. And we look to see those numbers continue to grow in 2023. As we look at that, one of the best things about our growth when we compare ourselves to our peer airports is we are seeing that mix of traffic that when you talk about our leisure traffic, everybody knows we're very strong leisure traffic, but the business traveler is coming back. Where that's not happening across the country. And so we are already at our 60% leisure traveler. That's been our typical number. 30% of our business travelers back. But what we're finding in that last percentage is the true mix of business and leisure traveler coming back, where they combined both the disciplines in the travel. So it's been very interesting to see that return for us. 17 nonstop destinations, which continue to grow. And this year we also had competition come into place on the Minneapolis route with Sun Country, a brand new airline joining us at Cherry Capital Airport, offering ultra low cost fares. And I just flew them on Sunday over to Minneapolis for basically averaging about $30 one way. So great addition to our lineup of airlines. Also in 2022 and into 2023, we had the installation of what we call CAD technology, or credentialing authentication technology. And that is when you come to the security checkpoint, you present your driver's license. Most of the time you'd present your boarding pass and your driver's license, and you see a lot of people digging around in their bags for things. Now you just present your driver's license, it scans it, and through the checkpoint you begin. So that was brand new from the TSA. Also, we completed the enhancements of our inline baggage system. So we had the old CTX 5500s, which are now replaced with Reveal 80s. What's great about that is the throughput of checked baggage has gone up almost 30%. And the current work this year, we have lots of projects going on. But the main project that we're working on, and has been very challenging, is something that we've worked on for over 16 years, is the installation of an instrument landing system on runway 10. Runway 10 is when you're coming from the west, landing to the east, so you'd have east winds. It's always been a challenge for us. And we've seen lots of delays and cancellations. We're averaging nearly 100 cancellations a year due to lack of having an instrument landing system. One of the biggest challenges is the federal government wanted to go to all GPS technology. The problem is our general aviation community and the community that flies freight, we're very successful in the GPS technology, but our airlines were very slow and are still slow to get GPS technology in their aircraft. They have it, but they don't train to it to the level that needs to get that precision. And so what they rely on is still what I call the old system, or the reliable system, on a ground-based instrument landing system. That project is about $4.5 million. And we've had a lot of assistance from Senator Peters' office, Representative Bergman, and Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, to get that project across the finish line. So we look forward to that being completed here late November, as long as the government keeps going. Also, construction of our commercial terminal ramp. We expanded our overnight parking this year with funds that's from the bipartisan infrastructure legislation. $4.8 million, where we were able to expand the ramp east and west, 130 feet both directions. This provides us parking for overnight aircraft. Sometimes during the summer, we have up to 16 airliners trying to fit into our 6 gates. So we've had to park on them on the north side, relocate them in the morning to bring them over. Now we have space to do that, but it also improves circulation on the ramp during our normal daytime activities. And so once we completed those projects, the use of those ramps were measured in seconds. We pulled the barricades off, the airplane pulled into the ramp. It was pretty amazing to see that happen. Lastly, under the bill, bipartisan infrastructure under the airport terminal projects, we're working on $5.2 million project to replace jet bridges, gates 1, 3, and 4. Those jet bridges, minus gate 4 were all came over from the old terminal. So they're 40+ years old. The one that's gate 4 that was put in with the new terminal is an outdated model and that needs replacement. So, but it was also our heaviest used jet bridge over the almost 20 years that we've been in operation at the new terminal. So yes, those have been some of our big construction initiatives. On our sustainable initiatives, we continue to work with the FAA on the release and rollout of the new fluorine-free foams for firefighting foams. We continue to work with Eagle on the monitoring of our PFAS that is across the airport and even off the airport. And we continue to work closely to the point we are assisting Eagle in writing best management practices for our airports in the state of Michigan on how to deal with PFAS. As we look to plan to the future for our terminal expansion, we're looking for that continued growth, but lots of green energy options are really promoting themselves for our facility. And when we talk about green energy options, one of them is also in how we operate the facility on the capacity activities that happen. We see that major influx of passengers and activity in the summer. And then in our shoulder winter months, we see a lower level of activity. We want to be able to operate the facility in a way that we use the gates when we need them. And then when we don't, we can make them as energy efficient and less impact to our footprint. So working closely with that. As we continue to work, lots of community events continue to happen at the airport. The Cherry Festival Air Show being one of them, which Steve has been a longtime partner and the air boss at the air show. He's finally hung up the cleats, so to speak, but he's been a great partner in that. The TVC 5K run, Run the Runway, which we work closely with Wings of Mercy. If you're not familiar with Wings of Mercy, they're a group that helps patients get to medical services like Mayo Clinic or U of M for various treatment options. We've done a lot of work with Interlochen Arts Academy, working with their schedules and influxes of passengers. But this year we've had the opportunity to have students perform in the terminal, which was a lot. It was very interesting, not only during the summer months, but as they traveled through at Christmas time, we got a chance to hear them sing Christmas carols. So it's been great to bring those community events into the airport. When we look at total passenger traffic, one of the things that we look at is what is this year going to turn out to be? So we talked about a couple numbers in the last 2 years. With the numbers that we're seeing so far through September, we're estimating 635,000 total passengers, which would be our best year ever. So we're very excited to see that happening, but one would think that's happening with more flights. The number of flights have actually gone down. What we're seeing is an increase of size of aircraft. So what you would have seen in the past, the 50-seat regional jet, today you're seeing a 737 aircraft, a newer airplane, more fuel efficient, bringing in 166 passengers at a time. So less aircraft operations, but bigger airplanes, more seats.
So Kevin, yeah, and no longer is there a flight where it's almost empty heading for Detroit, which I remember being on a lot of those, or coming in with half a dozen people. So I was going to bring you back to your numbers, to your projections. So are those based on, do you have numbers through your third quarter?
Yes, so we're just about 500,000 passengers through the third quarter, which is about 65,000 more passengers than we've ever had at this point.
I have to say, we are getting used to getting up at 3:30.
It took a little while.
Well, the best part about that though is the connection opportunity it has. As Commissioner Lautner indicated to me, she had a travel inconvenience with some weather that, but with being up that early and out, that allowed that flexibility through the day. So I agree with you. I am not a 5 a.m. traveler. I like to travel mid-afternoon, but they do offer a lot of advantages.
It does make sense.
So touching on the airport revenue, it has been a very good year for revenue. We've seen increase in parking revenue, rental income, but also we continue to see the support of the final portions of the CARES Act for the ARPA and others that have come through. And so, our operating revenues this year were around 13 million. So, our operating expenses were around 7.8 million. So we are right now putting money into the bank because we know our major project is coming, and that's the terminal expansion. When we look at what is needed right now, we've done the studies where we need 11 gates to our 6 gates that we have at the moment. When we look to 2035 and 2038, it looks to be 14 gates through the study that we would need to handle our peak traffic. Just building 6 additional gates is estimated at $100 million to complete. As you were talking earlier, subcontractors are difficult to find. Prices are elevated. We see prices elevated between 25% and 30% right now. So what we've been trying to do to tackle that project is still continue to apply for the bipartisan infrastructure legislation funds, which really pushes to do some of those updates to the current facility, like the jet bridges. Another project we'll be applying for this month is to replace the current terminal roof and boilers, so we can reduce that $100 million ask. Anticipation of about half of that project being covered with federal grants and state grant funding. So another portion would be what we're trying to do is save some money, so local airport funds. But we anticipate looking at bonds in that $40 million category. So that timing, when we look to that justification phase, should wrap up here in October. Then we'll begin the financial planning and environmental phase here going into 2024. So this time next year, I may be coming back and visiting the bond question on looking to go forward. However, as federal funding becomes available, we are going to be very aggressive towards that federal funding. Also, the bonds that would be asked for would be repaid through what we call passenger facility charges. So those passengers that use the airport, there's the $4.50 that's on every ticket. That money would be what would be used to pay for the bonds over the time frame. So as I have more information to come, I don't mean to drop a bombshell on you, but I want to prepare so you're thinking about those questions that may come over the next couple of years as we dive into that issue. Wrapping up, just really, we've just completed or are almost completed with our strategic planning session. And it's been a wonderful opportunity to work closely with our board members to really generate ideas in our path going forward. So we look to wrap up here in October our strategic plan for 24 through 27. And I appreciate both these members for spearheading that opportunity. So thank you for any questions.
I just have a quick question for Kevin. Can you speak to the fact that Traverse City Chair Capital is the 2nd largest airport in the state of Michigan?
Well, I wish I was 2nd, but 3rd. Yeah, Grand Rapids is a little bit far away yet, but we are getting there. So yes, when we look to have this year's numbers and look to be for passenger numbers again in 3rd place, but really the way I like to measure 3rd place comes in economic development. We generate over $1 billion a year to the state of Michigan economy. And next compared to that is Grand Rapids at $3 billion and then Detroit Metro at $8 billion. So the next closest airport to us is Flint, and they're about 600 million. So we're very proud of the activities that happen at the airport. And that's just not the airline side. That's really heavily influenced by our general aviation activities, the aircraft charters that takes place. And then also our US Coast Guard partners in Northwestern Michigan College really drives that development home. So thank you.
Kudos, we'll be second soon.
Yeah, one day.
Thank you for clarifying that, because Ty has been telling us it's Woolsey Airport. Now we know.
Yeah.
Any last questions for Kevin or Steve or Jim?
Just thank you for what you and especially your crew, everybody there has a job, they know what they're doing. They're all probably one of the greatest places to ever be part of. And thank you for allowing me to do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we are now down to that part of the agenda where we invite public comment. And we thank you for coming today and would welcome you to make public comment to the board. So anybody who would like to make public comment, please raise your hand. Yes, Mr. Mikowski.
Good morning. We provided each of you a copy of a document about the 4 ways to spend money. And as it's indicated there by the noble economist Milton Friedman, government people spend money very poorly. I'm here also to try to understand what's going on yesterday, but I couldn't pick up all the pieces. But I believe I'm going to speak about the serious need to resolve the crisis that occurred on May 11th, 2021, which was a clerk loathing decision. It was a terrible and reckless mistake by the county commissioner, and it appears to have been continued to be perpetuated by this commission, because this commission and that commission refused to be held accountable and do a full accounting to the taxpayers for the harm and damage done financially to the people, the taxpayers, and to people in this building. And it is my belief that if Mr. Cohen is going to be here, that it would be the first order of business that he would be told to undertake. If not, that's not done, then all is for naught. Also, I understand that the county will now be governed by committees. Is that correct? We have appointed committees. And we've been there before. You all know that? We've been there before. I attended many of those meetings, those foolish meetings of commissioners, of committees. Now, when I elect a commissioner, my belief is that all commissioners must be, and I would demand this at every meeting where information is passed on to everybody at the same time. Bits and pieces create foolishness and poor management. I was part of an executive management team. I was in logistics, but I attended every executive committee meeting because it helped me understand how the business run. But obviously, some of you commissioners don't want to care how the business is run. So you let it fall to other people to make the decisions for you so you can just nod your heads. So that's a tragedy, a serious tragedy that's occurring in this county. And I see nothing going forward. But I hope Mr. Cohen, if he stays, does get the accounting done. If not, this commission will never know, will never tell the people what great harm and damage financially and harm and damage we have done to the people in this building and other places. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yes. You don't have to raise your hand for that. Yes, please.
Scott Richards from Green Lake Township. Like I want to reiterate, Michigan's the 3rd cloudiest state in the union. We're only behind Alaska and Washington. So when you talk about solar and green energy, you should think about that. Another thing is, I don't know what's up with the sound system, but you can't really hear what the people are speaking behind you over here. So I don't know if you could put speakers a little bit better back here, especially with soft-spoken people like Carrie and some ladies. So if you could help with the speakers. And the other thing is, you know, you want to move the environment center or the health department down below. I was wondering if you'd been through the storage place that you got, the pole barn out back, to see if there's enough room back there to put that stuff in there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak to an agenda item on our agenda? Thank you for coming, and we will have a second opportunity for public comment at the end of our meeting, and we really do appreciate hearing from you. We'll now turn down to, on our agenda, the action items, and the first item on our agenda is the sheriff's office, 2 items.
What about commissioner?
Oh, yes, I forgot that.
I have a brief one.
I don't believe that.
So I handed out, just so you know, our first Energy Futures Task Force meeting is this Thursday at 9:30. And just FYI, I handed everyone a list of the membership, and I'm done.
Any other commissioner comment?
I have a suggestion. This is the second time we've heard that these mics don't pick up out there. Why can't we move a couple of these out there?
Your mics come through good, but these mics.
That's exactly what I'm
They're
saying.
not coming.
So why don't we move a couple of these out there?
Experiment. Okay, thank you. Any other commissioner comments? We now are at the under sheriff. Mr. Keesel, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. 2 small items for you today. The first is an extension of the Cherryland Humane Society contract. We've been housing animals there for decades, I believe. And this has been a series of short-term contracts. The problem why we can't go long-term is they are and have been negotiating with Grand Traverse County for quite some time. And until those negotiations are done, they're not comfortable going long-term with us, even though they're happy with our current deal. So this is just an extension for 2024 for 1 year of continued housing for animals that we pick up. The cost did not go up. It costs $3,600 a year to do that.
Commissioner Lautner?
Yes. I move to recommend to the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve a 1-year contract for 2024 between the Leelanau County Sheriff's Office and the Cherryland Humane Society for boarding and animal services at a cost of $3,600, funds to come from as presented, with the board chairman and sheriff authorized signatures.
Support. I saw a second from Commissioner Kramer and a second from Commissioner Ward. Yes, sir. Yes, discussion.
As I'm understanding, a lot of this is going to hinge on what they end up negotiating with Grand Traverse County. So who will do the negotiations for us when that is completed?
Historically, in the past, it's me. Well, I've never really had to negotiate because, I mean, our language has been the same for a lot of years. Under Sheriff Morgan, previous to me, did some negotiating. They are extremely happy with our contract and our language. Grand Traverse runs their animal control program a little differently, and they deal with a lot more strays and things of that nature, where ours, the vast majority of the animals we pick up are, the owners are located down the road, but they are located, so there's far less euthanization and things of that nature. So, I mean, as much as they compare us to Grand Traverse, they realize we are not the same entities that they're working with.
Well, and this is one of it seems to me like it, you know, this is a question Wayne could answer, but especially with social media, nothing's shared faster than a lost pet, right? So
We put a dog out there and it hits 12,000 people in a second.
and then they're found. So
Correct.
we have left. So I think that the number was good. I think it's up to 2 and that they'll have set a time for us. So do your best for us.
Always.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in support of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion approved 7-0.
Earlier this year, this is a formality also, we received permission from you to apply for the secondary road patrol grant for 2024, which technically started 2 days ago. We got approval of that grant late last month, and we were awarded $54,474 for fiscal year 2024, and this would be to accept that grant as awarded.
Commissioner Riceborough?
I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve acceptance of the secondary road patrol grant from the Michigan Office of Highway Safety and Planning for fiscal year 2024. The board further authorizes the board chair, finance director, and sheriff to sign the grant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 7-0. Thank you.
Those signatures are digital too, just so you know there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the gun allowance, uniform and gun allowance request. Percy,
Good morning.
good morning.
I am just here today to request that you approve the uniform and gun allowance for the sheriff's office employees who are not covered under a contract, a union contract, which would be the sheriff, under sheriff, and the the bailiffs, and then the Marine deputies.
Okay.
I move to recommend to the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners to approve the uniform and gun allowance for the non-union personnel, sheriff, undersheriff, and marine deputies through payroll, with appropriate taxes withheld if receipts are not provided. Funds to come from 101, 225, 301, 703, 742, and 101, 225, 331, 703, 742 as budgeted.
Support.
Any discussion?
He said for 2023.
This is 2023's uniform allowance, yes.
Is the uniform, is it the clothing itself, or is it also the protective gear? I was just surprised to see those numbers. Is that Gucci?
It's, I believe it's for the maintenance of their uniforms.
Okay.
And is there a new gun every year?
No, but they get reimbursed for like cleaning supplies, that type of stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved,
Thank you.
7-0.
Thank you.
Darcy.
Thank you.
You weren't recommending Gucci, then you were just.
It does, it's like, whoa. Looks like something on Madison Avenue.
Next on our list is a planning and community development request, and Gail is here. Gail?
Morning.
What I have for your approval today are 6 of our recycling site agreements. And there's nothing new with any of them. They're the same contracts that have been in place. And once again, the tribe has refused to take payment.
The tribe is what?
The tribe has refused to take their payment.
So they're doing it, they're doing
Just
it.
for a service, yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners approve the 5-year recycling agreements with Leelanau County and Elmwood Townships, Township and Empire Village, Northport Village, Glen Lake School, the Leelanau School, and the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians as presented. Support.
Any discussion or questions? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gail. Next on our list is the clerk coming. Yes. There she is. Good morning, Michelle.
Hi. Good morning. What she's passing down to you is the ballot with your name on it, so it's not a secret, but it's to comply with the MCL.
So what I'm here for today is the appointment to the County Board of Canvassers. Their new terms will start on November 1st of 2023. And the EDS, I think, explained everything. The Republican Party has nominated two candidates, Eric Lind and Carrie Onan. The Democratic Party has nominated Bridget Hart, John Harbottle, and Fred Sapella. Eric Lind currently serves on that and would like to be reappointed. And Carrie would also be a fine addition, but I would use her as a alternate, and I have talked to her about that. And the Democrats have nominated Bridget Hart, John Harbottle, and Fred. Bridget, you won't be able to vote for because I've already personally appointed her due to a vacancy, and Fred wishes to be an alternate, and John is our current member and wishes to be reappointed. So with that, do you have any questions for me?
No, I did speak with Eric Lind this morning about this because I also would like to see Carrie serve. So, and there's been a conversation, so Carrie can serve as an alternate.
Yep, I have already talked. Is Carrie here today? Oh, she's here. Yes, I had a very long conversation with her, and I do have alternates because for whatever reason. So just to give the board, our current Board of Canvassers is John Harbottle. He serves as our chairman, and he's our Democratic member. Eric Lind is the vice chair, and he's Republican. Bridget Hart, Democrat. Casey Yoder. Since your appointment in 2021, you appointed Fred Sapella and Judy Tykert. When there are vacancies on this board, the replacement of those members is vested with the county clerk. So Fred resigned right afterwards. He wishes to serve in an alternate capacity. I appointed Donna Dodd. Donna Dodd was a long-time serving member, wonderful person, but for family reasons, she had to move to Kent County. And right before she moved, the person you appointed was Judy Tykert. So Judy Tykert, she moved. I replaced Judy Tykert with Casey Yoder. So she is our Republican, and I ended up placing Fred with Donna and then Bridget Hart. So I probably do more appointments to this board than you do, but it's a really good group. They all seem to really like it. And so you are free to vote for whoever. I'm just asking that you re-endorse though Eric Lind and John Harbottle.
So Michelle, we have these and we're to vote on the ballots.
You are, and then it's got your name on it. So I'm gonna, once you do that, I'm gonna collect them and read them to you and tell you what your motion needs to be.
Okay.
We'll see if we can do this in one try.
Pass them down, I guess, here we go.
Yeah. Because you can't be secret, but this is just what the law says. Because we'd be in violation of the Open Meetings Act. It's just a paper shuffle. All right, so Ty Wessel was Eric Lind and John Harbottle. Commissioner O'Rourke was Eric Lind and John Harbottle. Commissioner Ross was Eric Lind and John Harbottle. Commissioner Rexroth was Eric Lind and John Harbottle. So Commissioner Kramer was Eric Lind and John Harbottle. Commissioner Allgaier is Eric Lind and John Harbottle, and Commissioner Lautner is John Harbottle and Eric Lind. So that would be those names in your recommendation for next week, if you could.
Do I have a motion? Commissioner Langer.
I move to recommend to the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners to reappoint John Harbottle and Eric Lind to the Leelanau County Board of Canvassers, each for a 4-year term, November 1, 2023 through October 31, 2027. Support.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deb, you have an update on equalization and
do. So in your packet is the EDS to approve the equalization as required by the MCL by law. And so the motion is there. I received communication from Andrew this morning that his father passed away last night unexpectedly. So this is why he's not with us today. But I'm so grateful that he took the opportunity to put together the summary page for you, because I know the document is extensive. And so by putting together this overview, it really gives you a succinct understanding of what the document reflects, and it's based on the prior motions that the board made regarding setting the millage rates. So this is a formality, and Eric assured me that if the board had questions, he would felt confident he could be available next Tuesday. So this is really based on the board's level of confidence to move forward with what has been provided to next Tuesday's meeting.
Commissioner Russ?
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners approve the county apportionment report L 4402 as presented.
Could we also be willing to suggest that Andrew come next week and present to us, because it's always an interesting report, and I think ought to be done in public support.
He just lost his dad. I don't know. Just something, like, I mean, honestly, like, he just lost his dad. I think we need to take that into consideration.
Well, that's, I say invite, and I understand he's made that suggestion.
He was more than willing to do that, and I told him his first priority is with you and your family.
Okay, so as long as he fell their priority.
Yeah. Understood.
So if he can't come next week, then we could do it at the next month's meeting, but I think we ought to have him give us a report. Any discussion?
Just, this is probably my very favorite report of the whole year, and it is available to people, but do look at, do look at all the exempted parcels on, and their taxable values. And I spoke to this a couple months ago, and it is absolutely incredible, the taxable values that are exempted off of here. The county has some, the townships have some, the Leelanau Conservancy has a lot, National Parks has a lot. So it's, that obviously our concern is that shifts the responsibility to our residents to pay that.
Commissioner O'Gara?
Reading this, I had to read about, and please tell me I'm wrong, that our taxable value jumped almost $300 million last year. Holy camoli. The other thing I want to say is we were talking to some people on Good Harbor Beach a couple days ago. And one of his statements was, Leelanau County has the lowest tax rate in the state. We want to come.
Oh,
But then they said they couldn't afford it to come, so.
but our taxable value is one of the highest, that's the difference, so that's the kicker.
I just want to remind everyone, those conservation easements and things that are in place that we, aren't necessarily paying taxes on.
Well, I was speaking only to the extent.
Oh, okay, yeah, but they attract, they're the reason that we're sitting where we're at.
Right.
I would argue that my farm is part of it, but I'm paying taxes, so.
But if you waived your development rights, then you could, there's a whole.
No, I'd still pay taxes if I waived my development rights. But if I donated the land to
The chair is losing control here.
You gotta get it back, you gotta get back.
Meeting under control tax.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we didn't vote, did we? All those in support of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0. Thank you. We now have Ms. Wilson to come forward and talk about the need for desktops.
I will just, as Deanna walks up here, I'll just mention that I did ask her specifically to speak to the issue about the bids and what our process is and why we recommend utilizing the Dell equipment.
Hello. Basically, what we are a member of the MIDO program, which is an extended purchasing program
that we are allowed to deal with vendors for state contracts. Dell is one of them, CDW is one of them, and SHI is another company that, and those are the only 3 out of the approved vendors that sell computers. And Dell is the lowest price for what I was looking to get. So that's why I select Dell.
I move to recommend that the county board of commissioners approve the purchase of 10 new Dell computers at a cost not to exceed $11,318.40, with funds to come from data processing fund number 636. And thank you.
Support. Question for our finance officer. I understand this, but do we need to still waive our bid policy to approve this?
So. I don't know.
Awkward.
I would add that we have a bid policy.
I
I'd be glad to amend.
There's a,
It's a
The-
90.
it's a mind deal, but when I read our policy, it's not clear to me right now that's specifically carved out. But I think it's common practice that we've used what Leanna has described. I don't know if that's when Deb and I last spoke, we talked about maybe, as we go through policies, it would be good to clarify that, but I have no concerns with what Leanna described.
Would you be willing to change your motion?
Yes, I did say I would amend it to say waiving bid policy.
And okay with a second?
Yes.
Any discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 7-0. Thanks, Leanna.
I got a question.
Yep.
Were you aware of the article in the Record Eagle Sunday about the GTI and the $238,000 mistake on
I did see that, yes.
anything?
Be very cautious about emails that you get. Don't, especially if somebody's asking for money. Don't click on links and send money without verifying its authenticity.
And apparently it was from one company that they deal with to the other company, and they got in between them, right?
Yeah.
And it did happen, it sure did happen. Okay, thank you.
I've come across that many times, that
So I saw another recent thing, and it was the QR codes, and people have figured out how to, I guess, take a marker and change a QR code to send you to someplace, nefarious. So, just make sure your QR code is a valid QR code.
cannot be too cautious anymore
I
about
don't think
anything.
you Actually need a marker. Just create a QR code that goes anywhere. Yeah, that's because you just attach a link. It's something that auto generates and then, yeah, it would be pretty easy scam.
Well, the training that I was watching, they're changing them, I guess, so I don't know, maybe there's probably, they know more than one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it was,
Updating, right?
So is that how you
Thank you.
Yep.
Jamie? But then. that's how you get your
No, but now I have ideas.
I know it was mentioned earlier, Commissioner O'Rourke had mentioned about the safeguards for that, and it was mentioned about MMRMA, SOMARMA, which was mentioned earlier. So that is the organization that is our safeguard and is our risk management organization. So they're the ones that are really emphasizing the importance of cybersecurity and along with Raymond. So you may hear more of those recommendations coming forward to the board through our committee structure and then to the board to consider those types of programs and services, or through our chief financial officer.
Thank you. Well, man, Anthony is here, and thank you. Matt was at the center of the county this weekend, Northport, to help with Uncaged.
It was a good time. Yep, it's always one of the great events to go to every year, so happy that we're able to do that. I wanted to pass along two big developments with the Leelanau Township Tower site. Mission Engineering is working with the Road Commission in order to finalize their driveway engineering plans. So that's moving along very quickly. Hoping to have the finalized plans here very soon. And then We are very confident by the end of the week, we're gonna have pen on paper with the land agreement with the Mitchells. So we've been able to communicate with the landowner in order to iron out all the details. He's been communicating with his legal attorney in order to get all his concerns addressed. And it looks to be that we will be able to sign that this week, and we'll get with Ty in order to finalize it.
Should mention too, one of the delays of this process is because the landowner's attorney passed away. So that had definitely delayed the process and the implementation of the plan. So this has not been, I think, we all would agree, maybe not as clean or progressed in exactly the way that we had hoped it would, but sometimes there are situations beyond our control, and Matt has done a stellar job trying to coordinate everything, and he's had great support, I know, from many different departments, including the finance department. So I just want to thank everyone for the efforts.
Any questions for Matt? Anything else?
That's all I got.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We now have two government center projects, the HVAC project bid recommendation.
So we talked about that earlier. I gave you an update saying the HVAC bid recommendation. We didn't receive any bids, so there's really no motion to move forward with that at this time. So we can probably just kind of put that off at the moment. And then the second item, if I may, Mr. Chairman, just go directly to that, is the FAH is the architecture who has agreed to provide project manager services for the lower level build out project at a cost of 3.5% of the construction cost, which equates to $12,469.63.
I have a question. So you did not get a bid even on replacing the, what do you call those?
The heat pumps. Yeah, that had not been requested. What this specifically was for were the discussions that have been ongoing, I think, for the last to do the HVAC 2 and 3, those proposals to, in essence, replace the heat pumps.
I thought we were getting a bid. Yeah.
We haven't progressed to that yet, right?
We have not. The first step was to get this process completed, figure out what the cost would be if that 3.5 million that was initially determined in terms of in the budget, if that was going to be an accurate number or not. The reality is that no one bid on the scope of that project. So the next logical thing will be is for the Building and Grounds Committee as well as the board to then consider next steps. Do we start a process to look at the replacement of the heat pumps, or is there another recommendation that the board might want to consider? So
I thought we were getting both.
I have requested some feedback in terms of potential costs on what it would be to initiate a program to implement, to replace the heat pumps, but it was not an official request from the board. I just started some information gathering.
It seems like we should get that.
Building and Grounds meets next Monday, and I anticipate there will probably be an update, maybe even as early as Tuesday's meeting, regular meeting. I don't know if it will require action, but there will at least perhaps be an update.
I'm assuming going down that road, Mr. Alzheimer, that would be where we would head, I assume.
Yeah.
That's the next step.
Go for it, guys.
Is there any impetus, I mean, I was just curious, we went down, what, 4.5%? Was there any impetus for that? Like, I just thought that was interesting when I was reading over it.
I didn't hear the question.
He revised his previous proposal?
Well, the scope of the project, I think initially in the initial agreement was based on a much larger project, $600,000. So now that the project has been scaled back, he revised his quote.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
based on
do the
3.5%.
motion.
I would, if you want to make a motion. go
Yeah,
for
I'll
it.
make a motion. I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners approve an agreement between Leelanau County and FAH Architecture, PLLC of Harbor Springs, Michigan, to act as a project manager of the Leelanau
District Health Department Environmental Office Lower Level Construction Project as presented at a cost not to exceed $12,469.63. Funds to come from TBD.
Support.
Discussion, Commissioner Rexroth and Commissioner Lutton.
So I don't know if it needs to be part of this motion, but my understanding was the agreement that this cost would be shared equally between the board and the health department.
That is correct.
I don't know if that needs to be part of this motion. Approve this, I'd be approving to spend that money without reimbursement. How does that work?
There is a contract, I believe that it's addressed in the contract, but defer to the board's pleasure.
I think it was covered in our contract that we would cover 50% of the cost, but we could check between now and Tuesday. Commissioner Lutton?
That was exactly my concern. I think this motion needs to be cleaned up for Tuesday night to exactly spell out, even though it's in the contract, it needs to spell out because I read that as the county's, spending another $6,235 on this project, but that's all.
I think so.
Maybe a reference to contract or something in the motion.
Oh, and we need to know where we're gonna find.
Should we just move this forward to next week and get a vote on this motion?
Yeah.
Would you be willing to withdraw your motion?
Yeah, sure. Good job.
Motion to move it forward to next week? Commissioner Lutton?
Elgire's fine with that, okay.
Yes.
Just making sure.
We did.
That's okay. So you asked for withdrawal, Kramer acknowledged, and so did Elgire. Okay,
So now is there a motion to move it forward? Commissioner Rexroth?
I would move to recommend to the planning board commissioners to move this forward to next week's meeting.
Support.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
is that Ross that seconded? You're moving pretty fast today. Yeah. Thank you.
Rexroth's adulting.
So we will
7-0.
have this on the agenda next week.
Adulting.
Did we vote? I think we voted.
You did, 7-0.
Yes.
Yep, I got that part.
Okay. We now are down to administration and the Maple Valley Nursing Home Septic Field decommissioning update.
What about the Michigan Association of Counties? Did we skip that?
No, that's next.
Next,
Stop going so fast.
we're on 8.
So on
I'm sorry.
page 67 in your packet is communication from John Caspin Jr. in regards to the status of where they are with the request to remove or I should in essence say to abandon the septic tanks that were under the county park property. And so they have initiated their own drain fields now, so they have been, in effect, been decommissioned.
We just moved to accept the letter, right, that it's getting done and filled. Letter is-
We would not need any additional, there's no necessity for an agreement with them anymore because they no longer need access to
Right.
that property.
We-
So I would anticipate that I don't believe there's any action required at this point.
accept
Just
the letter as
accept it.
part of our,
Sure.
Any questions or discussion?
I drove by there several, I don't know, probably 2 months, really relieved to see the construction and excavation going there, and see that this is moving forward, so glad to see the progress.
But it still looks pretty. What a mess.
Yes, Commissioner Elder?
I was just ready to make the next motion.
Well, I want to make sure we handle this one first. Any other concerns or questions? Okay, now, Commissioner Elder.
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners approve the 2023-24 Michigan Association of Counties dues in the amount of $12,000. Funds to come from Board of Commissioners membership dues and fees. 101, 100, 101-807-000. And I'd like
Can't speak to it until we get a second. Or. Now you can speak to it.
looking at what we have paid through the years, I'm not really sure why it bumped down $1,200 for the last couple of years, but we are not paying the 19,000 they asked for. So I think we should at least go back up to 12, which is less than we were paying in 2011 and 10 and 9 and 8.
Other discussion? Commissioner Leitner?
Well, I also have my hand up because I would have recommended the $10,926. But I was willing to go up a certain percent this year, as long as we can hold our line to this. So is $12,000 out of line? Maybe not. But MAC refuses to look at a fair way to raise dues. And they do this has popped around because we had this argument or this discussion with MAC. So MAC does their dues based on your population and your SCV, and they have a formula. So we chose not to follow that formula because our SCV is so high up here. We were paying, if I remember correctly, we were paying something like $1.05 a resident up here, and counties downstate around Wayne County and Macomb County were paying something like 13 cents a resident. And so we were getting slammed because of our property up here. And that is why we said, let's make this fair to Leelanau County and let's pay the $10,000. And MAC has accepted that every year. So I guess it's the pleasure of this board. Do you think we're getting $12,000 worth of value? That might be fair. But I certainly wouldn't, I certainly wouldn't go up to the 19 because I know what that is based on.
Anybody else?
I guess I'd just like to, I'm sorry. No, go. We paid 10.9 for several years. So we won't go back to the 12,144, but 12. I do believe there's value in having that.
Oh,
They are.
value.
They
Yeah,
are
there's
helpful.
huge value.
So.
And that was never really that was never really the question. It was,
Yeah, your point is.
The discrepancies between counties.
yeah, we're not getting any more value than, Wayne County paying 13 cents.
Your point is valid.
Are we ready to vote on the motion?
Yes.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved, 7-0. Thank you. Thank you. We're now down to late edition 1, which is a Richter contract. And Sean, can you speak to this? Or maybe not? Can you speak to this?
Sure.
Yeah.
So what you have in front of you, the clerk was gracious enough to put information together regarding this agreement. This is the formality of approving the RCI contract. We approved the bid. We just did not make a motion or did not make a motion to move forward with the actual contract. That's in front of you. I believe it has all been reviewed and has been reviewed by legal counsel. So again, it is put forward to the board for the matter of formality so that the contractor can start getting his contracts and his bonds and his permits.
I recommend to the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners to approve the agreement between the County of Leelanau and RCI Richter Construction, Inc. for the purpose of constructing the build-out of the lower level environmental health department space in the amount not to exceed $356,275, and that the chairman be authorized to sign the agreement. Funds to come from Fund Number 470, Capital Projects Fund, with a transfer of.
To be determined from to be determined.
Okay.
I believe that Mr. Cohen will be talking with county treasurer to find you funds for Tuesday night.
Thank you.
We'll accept the 2 be determined. Is there a second to that motion? Any discussion? Commissioner Lovett?
First of all, thank you to Michelle for getting us back in line on this project. You know, this kind of boils down to, we can't say it enough, communication to make sure that we follow all the steps that we need to follow. And I know we'll look at the whole proposal for the towers, you know, hopefully, did you say Friday? Hopefully they'll have that well before Tuesday. But, you know, these processes are so important, and, you know, I'm really concerned about this 470, and we're spending all kinds of money, but we really don't know where it's coming from. So hope that magic happens before, you know, maybe by Friday too, so we can figure that out.
Anybody else? Doug?
I just would comment that I see these a lot, so I look through the contract, looks like pretty standard language. It looks good.
I went in yesterday, as I was asked to do, to sign the contract, but there was not board action, there was a board action on the bid, but not allowing me to sign, and I can't sign if I don't have board action to approve that. All those in support of this motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion approved, 6-1. We now are here with Sean, and Sean, you want to come back up? I won't repeat everything that I said yesterday, but I want to thank Sean for being here and thank him for his willingness to consider this contract and admiration for his statement that he didn't want bank vacation time and he didn't want a pay increase. He wanted to come back and help us. So this contract was presented after legal review, a lot of work. Devin and I talked to the attorney a couple of different times. And you have the agreement in front of you, and let's have a motion to accept and then we can discuss. Yes, Doug.
I don't have an EDS for this, so there's one here, but otherwise I just move to recommend the county accept the employment agreement as presented.
Any discussion? Yes.
It was brought up, I think maybe Jim brought it up about who has the title of chief financial officer. Does Deb have it, or do we take that away from her? Do we have one chief financial officer?
When we get done voting next Tuesday, we will have one chief financial officer. But we talked to the attorney about that really, and his position, he has rescinded his resignation. His position as finance director is still valid, so he will serve as finance director for the duration until we officially vote on this next Tuesday. That's my understanding.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd just like to thank you for coming back. We need you and we so appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have a probably a dumb question. What is banked vacation time?
So it's basically you're able to hold it, so you can take out, say, for example, if in the prior contract, if it's 25 days, you can bank up to 50. So you can't bank more than that, and it's different for union, it's different for non-union, it's different for other employees. It's a standard scenario. So in this case, Sean has deferred to not carry over vacation time from any vacation time that would be accrued in 2023 to 2024.
The unused days that would be rolled to the next day.
So it's
Next
use,
year.
use and lose, use or lose.
Okay, so, and we'll have a new contract in January, right? Okay.
One to that, is that appropriate?
Please.
One of the things I asked for was the short term here to try to get a plan. And in my mind, the questions or comments on making sure everybody's at the table for decisioning, what I would love to be able to do is come back, articulate what I would think of as milestones. Like, I think there's some relatively important steps along the path as we start to go forward that would represent decision points on things like resourcing, technology support. So on those kind of items, I was looking for a shorter term just to be able to try to get those in order. And then based on if that's hitting the mark with you, I would then think you go the next step. So that was my thinking.
And I do want to say thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
The question of hours came up, Sean, and somebody came out and said we used to have 2 clerks, now we have 1, but how can we go ahead and give you some more help so you get less hours, so you don't have to work 60 and 50, 60 hours? How do we do that? What do you need?
I don't know that answer. So back to the milestones. To me, the question on resources and the skill set of those resources and how we want to align it, I guess I think it depends on what we take on. And so to me, one of the big things on the table, obviously we've talked about, information has been shared from the transition document, for example, from Raymond would be one of the considerations. Embedded in that, we haven't had a chance as a full board or a committee to kind of run through that. But I think the implication in there are changes. And with those changes, in my mind, there's different paths you go, which also include how much can we automate. And so there's a short term, there's a long term answer to that. I don't know the answer. And so what I suggested was to my get a plan kind of a thought. I think if we had consensus agreement on where we were going, I think the next question then to me is that resourcing question. And whether that's incremental, whether that is that already exists in the building, I don't know, but I appreciate the question. I didn't want to, I felt a little bit when we approached that initially, it was kind of getting cart in front of horse in my mind.
I see that and I think maybe I'm not doing my job enough getting the help for the hours you need, and we're under the gun. That doesn't have to be a permanent thing, but we need to get on top of the budget. We need to get it done.
Agree. And so when I was making notes to myself, if I had before you even get to step 1 is how do we bring closure to the budget process? But
It doesn't have to be permanent, temporary. I mean, everybody here would be glad to work with you.
I appreciate that.
Commissioner Lautner and then Commissioner O'Gara.
I just wanted to clarify something. I'm a little confused on, well, actually, I don't think I'm confused at all. We had a special meeting Monday, which I thought made Sean CFO. And we did that Monday by special session. So that was action, that's a firm action with a contract to follow. So why did we have to wait till Tuesday for Sean to become CFO? I thought it was immediate.
You can ask that question of Matt. I think it is immediate, but I think Matt advised us.
I think the rescinding of there were a few steps that needed to happen. The rescinding of the resignation, some other of those pieces to give us a little bit of time. But if the board's pleasure is to move forward with that as immediate, I think that's fine. So whatever that recommendation is, I think it just was a matter of making sure that we had what legal had recommended in terms of formal rescinded.
My understanding is you can't have somebody without a contract, and the contract really isn't official by our board rules until our board meeting. We did agree that we've agreed officially that he is our chief financial officer, but I think technically, but we will get clarification.
All right.
We want it as soon as
But
possible.
even this says October 2, which means it's at the very least, what is the word?
Retroactive.
Good, thank you. Retroactive at the very least.
I asked the question yesterday late if we could have a special meeting right before this meeting to do this officially, but we didn't have time to post that.
Okay.
But we'll check that
All right,
and
okay.
get a communication out, but you are our chief financial officer, and we're so glad to have you here. And I look forward to his role in pulling all of the leaders in the building together to do all things financial. We're on a good path, I think. So, yes, Commissioner Ogre.
I'd like to reiterate something I told Mr. Cohen this morning. And that is that we made a change 2.5 years ago that was not planned. And we have, frankly, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say, but I will say he will teach us and create a finance office that, as it should be. He has experience, he has done this. And I appreciate his expertise, his wisdom, and his generosity of spirit in being willing to work with us as we create an effective financial office and create the position of CFO. So thank you for being willing to teach us.
Mr. Kramer.
Commissioner.
I just want to commend and give kudos to all of Leelanau County. I have spoken to some friends who are commissioners in other counties, and they have not even peeked at their budget yet. So I think what we're doing, we're doing our due diligence here as a county, and I just commend all of you for educating all of us and taking us moving forward. And Sean, thank you again.
Anything else? Okay, let's have a roll call on this, Jen.
Commissioner Rexroth,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Chairman Wessel,
Yes.
Commissioner Alguier,
Yes.
Commissioner Kramer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lautner,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Rourke,
Yes.
7-0.
We did the roll call, Sean, because we wanted you to hear everybody say yes.
And then another one.
It's gonna be heavy to not let you down. I will do my best.
There, Sean,
What's that?
you can probably stay there, right?
What's
So we can have him sit there for a second?
Sure. Let's have him sit there as we review financials, and he can have Kathy join him. And we should give Kathy a round of applause.
And the accordion folder. And I dream of you, you're carrying it.
I'm gonna,
Keeping this rolling for.
so if, I was taking a peek here at our revenue and expense report, which you've got it through August 31 here. And we've got our drain commissioner already at 237%.
We are fronting money on the drain districts that have not become drain districts yet. So we're paying the GEI bills. We're keeping track, and that rolls forward. And just like on Lake Bluffs, when they actually become a drain,
and they get their funding through a note or a bond issue, whatever they decide they're going to do, then that funding comes in and we will reimburse the general fund. So it's predominantly about Timberley, Village of Empire, the ones that are in the works. Drain Commissioner Christensen has indicated he would like to get them wrapped up. I think we're headed in that direction, but as you've seen the timeline of how those things transpire, there's a lot of front work, notifying the parcel owners and whatnot. So we're still a ways away from getting reimbursed.
I don't know if we've shared that schedule lately, Kath.
Not
that-
lately.
that we could do that if that would be helpful.
Yeah, so you know
I don't know if
about
you-
what we're expecting back.
Kathy has or it may have started with Jen, has a schedule that starts with the county share. There's a road commission share, there's a total, yeah, right. And so,
Yeah, one of the drain districts is predominantly going to be carried by MDOT. But until it gets along, we have almost nothing committed to that drain district. So we'll get all of that money back from that once it becomes a drain.
Yeah, and that one is extremely alarming because it's actually gated. Not only is it private, it's gated, but we're all gonna pay for it. I'm watching the one they're just completed. I gotta tell you, it's one of the most beautiful private roads that we're gonna help pay for, that we won't be able to use. So it's very interesting. So that one, and then, let's see, there's one more.
Where's the Timberley?
It's Timberley
What
Road. Well, the slope. Mount Josh. So on the very west side of Timberley, there's a little dirt road that washes a lot, and it's right on the township line.
We have gotten stuck in that mud.
It's all your fault. And then there's more up on the back side of that mountain, as I understand it. I haven't really looked at the maps. A terrible lot, but it's on the west side of the mountain.
I walked that with my grandson a couple days ago. And yes, the mud was deep. Thick.
Any other questions about financials?
Obviously, Marine Patrol Division is wrapping up, so that's why they're at where they're at. And overall, though, for August, we were at 40%. So we should end the year with some monies left over to roll into fund balance. So what it's looking like.
Write that in the minutes. Yeah, put that in the minutes, please. Yeah. We're watching. This is a very light build process. Your meeting is early this month.
7 pages.
Yeah, so, we're a week ahead of schedule with the earlier meeting schedule of the 3rd and the 10th. We were usually like the 10th and the 17th. So in November, you're probably going to have a nice packet of bills to look at. But people know we pay our bills. They won't get excited.
Right, and the other one, we had a copy for the jury and the courts.
So it was courts and elections.
Oh, courts and the
Yes.
elections. and-
So we pre-ordered for our lovely January training.
Oh, okay, that's what you're doing. All right.
And then we do have 2 proposals of trials. So we prepare and purchase.
And obviously, we give them coffee, keep them away.
We do.
Okay,
Yes,
yes.
and snacks.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Kathy, before you sit down, how was the wedding?
It was sheer perfection. That's all I can say. The bride and groom were very, very pleased, and we so appreciate Rose and John Gallagher and their hospitality. It's a treat. The kids really wanted Leelanau County. That was their goal. So we tried to do everything Leelanau County, and we couldn't have asked for a better day and a more blessed event.
Thank you.
It's hot, they had to.
We had a little cloud cover right after the ceremony, so nobody was squinting for pictures. So again, Michigan's wonderful, and the moon did come out, and that was my dream, that she'd have the full moon over Grand Traverse Bay, and it was there. So
With your approval, I think we're gonna take a 5-minute break, come back for the staff update and public comment, and that should be short, but we probably need a break,
Yeah, great.
5 minutes? Part of the reason we need a break is I've sensed that Gwen has lots to tell us.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Break.
Why?
Just kidding.
You are still muted.
I'll provide that letter to you today. I received it late last night, so we will add that as a late addition for approval next week. Deb?
The only other thing, just a reminder again about Friday's event. So the invitations went out for Indigenous Peoples' Day. This plaque was approved by the board last year to be installed. And it was installed by October 1st, which is what the plaque requests. So the event this Friday will be to not only to celebrate the plaque's installation, but also to recognize next Monday is Indigenous Peoples' Day, so that's why we're doing it on Friday. It's a day that just works for the tribe as well as for the county, so.
We recognize we have, we recognize the Indigenous Peoples' Month.
Yeah, that's why the plaque was installed on Monday, but this was the day that everyone was available to do the actual recognition.
And we're gonna do that Friday Friday what time?
Friday morning at 11 a.m.
And there will be munchies before our budget meeting.
Correct.
Any other reports? Then we are at public comment. This is our second public comment of the day. This one is limited to 5 minutes, and we thank you for being here and we recognize you. Yes, please.
Tim McCauley, 12645 South Cedar Lane, Elmwood Township. It's the first meeting I've attended in a long time. And I sat here and I've heard reports and comments and motions on spending money. And you have no idea where the money is even coming from. To be determined. Money spent in the hopes that the state or somebody else is going to come along and fund these projects. Is that how you guys run your personal finances? Seriously. You have a credit card or a deep pocket somewhere, pulling money out of the sky? We didn't elect you to do that. We elected you to run a sound organization. And it didn't sound very sound to me. And you talk about due diligence. There's no due diligence that I heard today. Not when you don't have the money to spend. Signed, sealed, and delivered before you spend it. The taxpayers are not your deep credit card. Many of us are already at our wits' end, and you're talking about raising our taxes even more. Or bond issues or wherever, and it ultimately comes from the taxpayer. Enough's enough, folks. You know, there's a lot of people in this county that have deep pockets, but most of the people that live here do not. Your deep pocket people are their second and third home people, or maybe people that have generational farms and things. But the people that live here in this county that are working for this county do not have it. So change your thinking. Give us a break. Do your jobs.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I'm sure Bill's here.
Bill?
Bill Wiesner, Elmwood Township. I'll stand just because I might hold the signs there. First handout, this is the one I gave out this weekend, and it's Christian versus LGBTQ religion. God's word versus man's word. Notice they're both religions. They're both causes, principles, systems of beliefs held to with ardor and faith. Look at your own worldview. Same thing, a religious belief based on faith that you're believing the correct thing. This looks at the 10 Commandments of Christianity versus the 10 Commandments of the LGBTQ religion. We list them there according to this guy who wrote a book on the topic. I thought it was very good. On the back side, I just want to mention on the back side, right top column, TCAPs. We've been to meetings and they have these sexually explicit books, and I've heard some are in Leelanau County too, which should not be in the schools at all. But they say, no, it's freedom of speech. They need these books. They've got to be represented. You can't censor these books. Well, look at the statistic that I did a test, and you can do the same one. I've got the link there. If you go to tcfamily.org, you can see all this online too. And you can go to that link and check me on my 12 searches at TC West High School. I found 624 books on LGBT type themes, and at least 500 were unique. And there was not one showing the Christian perspective. There were 500 plus showing the LGBTQ religious faith, but none on ours. And so they're crying censorship? No. We need 500 books to, and I give examples. This was one guy, he's a LGBT guy. He lists 108 books you could select from that show the other side. He's not recommending them, but they're there. But anyway, this was handed out to all the events except for the swimming. That's the bike ride on Wednesday night where they made their signs too afterwards. Friday night at the Opera House. Saturday, I went to every store in the two main blocks, the businesses on Front Street, from Union Street down to Park. Would it be? Yeah, Park. And carried in my 4 foot wide, the rainbow belongs to God sign. Especially, it was important to take it where the people are well-meaning, but they've got these rainbow flags in there, thinking they're representing the rainbow. The rainbow belongs to God. That's what our sign says. And if you look at Revelation chapter 4, verse 3 from the Christian faith, it says, Jesus is sitting on the throne of God. And what's surrounding the throne? The rainbow. So it's just like Satan to steal that image and use it for just the opposite, to celebrate what? Pornography, fornication, which I did way back in college, and it was not good for me or anybody else, or all of the LGBT would be taking away from the rainbow, doing the opposite. So anyway, now off to the handout about elections here. This is kind of a summary. I highlighted this one, I underlined it. It's the main thing on the cast vote records. Oh, also, if I would have been here on time, I would have spoken on the people, the appraisers for the election, if it's right or wrong. It's good to get good people but it really means nothing. When you look at the cast vote records, it will make no difference or very little difference because the computers can steal with the algorithms. And this is shown quite clearly just in this little pages with the underlined and highlighted stuff. And go to fingerprintsofraud.com and you'll find it in more detail there. But I've tried to make it simple on a few pages, the most important stuff here. 80% of the counties of 159 counties in 9 states or 10 states, representing all the equipment, different equipment, showed election fraud. In Mesa County, it was a 10-point swing. We can expect that. That's happening all over the country. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Mr. Mikowski?
Good morning again, Steve Mikowski, Lake Leelanau. The gentleman before me raised this issue and how we spend money here. And I suggested all of you, every time you vote on a money item, you put your wallets on a table and say, this is such a good thing that we're going to approve now that I would finance it totally myself. But that rarely happens because it's other people's money. We don't have to worry about anything because we can always tax people. We have had now almost 2.5 years of government by insanity on the issue over the clerk loading motion. And we're still continuing it. And it's a very expensive thing we're going through. You're taking us through this when there was absolutely zero need or necessity to do this. And the tragedy of it is this commission has continued the process. And the next strategy is this commission refuses to provide the accountability for that decision starting about 2.5 years ago. The other point, I was curious, I don't remember any of you that ran for election this last time, which was a little over a year ago, that you were going to change the governance of the county commission from a full commission membership to a committee process. It was held during a non-public secret type of meeting, unscheduled meeting. You made that decision. Am I correct? This is true. We're gonna have committees now, a finance committee and other committees to run county government. Is that the way it's going to go?
Mr. Mikowski, we will answer your question later.
I understand. That's fine. Yeah, I understand. Something is amiss here because, as I said, we've been there before. And we need to have all you commissioners hear everything at the same time, not by committee and not by bits and pieces, so that some commissioners are relieved of making sound decisions because somebody else has already made a decision for them. And that seems to take me back to another observation over the years that I've watched. It's happened at township government and at county government, where even the Leelanau Enterprise has had written two editorials where commissioners and or township board members do polling by phone or by email. Some of you may remember these emails, these editorials. It's a dangerous process, and I suspect that it's now going on behind the scenes also. And that is not governance. That is manipulation. And then we also have to be careful that we don't approve our administrator to be the 8th commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? We do approve, do appreciate you coming and staying and making comment to it. Sometimes we don't agree with you, but we do appreciate you coming and thank you very much. Commissioner comment? Sugar?
I would also like to thank Kathy Hartzell and our clerk and deputy clerk over the last couple of years for keeping our finance department afloat through a lot of change and turmoil. And keeping us sound, paying our bills. And just FYI, often when TBD means we just haven't figured out which fund it will come from. It's not like we're waiting for the money to drop out of the sky. But I feel very good, finally, about our progress at this point. And again, thank Mr. Cole for staying with us.
I just want to say that I attended the Pride event and my husband worked the majority of the events. And the marginal communities and the youth that feel safe to attend those spaces are so pivotal to our community. And really understanding that is so important because these kids need our support. Because these kids are the kids sometimes who commit suicide and don't feel accepted. So understanding why that's important, I think is a lesson that maybe we could explore at some point, and I'd love to talk to you about, because it's it's needed. And understanding different perspectives is so beneficial for everyone. And I'd love to talk to you more about it because you can have your views and they're beautiful, but not everyone shares them. So just thinking about that moving forward, and I'd love to sit down and have coffee sometime if we could. Thank you.
Thank you. Other commissioner comments? Thank you. We are now to approval of financials. Commissioner Lautner.
Yes, I would recommend we pay claims and accounts $75,744 or 44 cents.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. 7-0.
And I would recommend we approve post audit $6,362,112.58. Support.
All those in support of that motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion approved 7-0. Thank you. Motion to adjourn.